I don't know who Dave is, but fuck that guy. Ladies and gentlemen, button pushers and right turners, welcome to another episode of Something's Broken. My name's Tayler Goodyear, and I own TG CNC Service out of Wisconsin. Last week was a pretty good week. Um, Very interesting late repair in the week. That was kind of racked my brain, but I was able to get the machine fixed and figured out and get it back up and running for the customer. So I'll go over a little bit with that. So Monday, I was at a customer, one of my local customers. They have a bunch of old Tornos machines, and they needed a sub spindle, a pickoff spindle, basically rebuilt. So they ordered the part that needed to be replaced inside of it. I had already rebuilt this, I don't know, like 6 months ago. What the fuck is that? Look at that. What the fuck? Why won't it come off? There we go. Anyways, I replaced a bunch of seals and shit in the clamping piston of this pickoff spindle. I rebuilt two of them about 6 months ago. It was during winter time. They found out that this one was still leaking because the piston, the proc switch that senses the piston clamping and unclamping, somebody took that proc switch and they fucking jammed it into the piston and just mauled it all up, dude. I don't know. I don't know why they would do that. Whatever. But they were like, "Hey, we're gonna order. Can you tell us what to order to replace this?" So I looked at the print. I was like, "Hey, you need this." They got the part. Excuse me. I showed up Monday. Tore it all apart. Got the piston replaced inside and rebuilt it and put it all back together for him. So that should be back up and running. My contractor Cam is rebuilding, or at least attempting to rebuild, a Hydrobar LNS Hydrobar bar pusher, hydraulic, and the parts that they ordered ended up being the wrong parts. So I had to go there and like just kind of clarify with them, like, hey, these are wrong. These are not what came out of the bar feeder. They're not the right size, the bushings and the piston rods. And they were kind of confused. I was like, I don't know if the parts schematic is the right schematic that you gave us, but the part numbers don't match each other, and the sizes of the bushings that came out and the size of the bushings that you ordered are not the same. They're not even close. They're like, oh, okay, well, we'll just have to reach out to LNS and figure out what the fuck happened. I was like, yeah, I mean, we can't really do anything without the correct parts. And I can't really say the parts that you ordered are going to fix the hydraulic leak. There's O-rings in the pistons that we're going to replace, but I can't guarantee that that's going to fix it. Because those are the only seals that I see in this thing. So, like, okay, we'll reach out to LNS. We'll let you know what happens. So, stopped at another local customer that contractor Cam has a service agreement at. I stop in there. I don't charge the customer if they don't need me in there. I just stop in to just kind of check in on Cam and keep up with everything that's going on inside, so I know in case Cam ever leaves or they can't go or something like that. Like I have at least a broad understanding of what's going on there. So I occasionally stop in there just to check up on things, see where everything is, check the progress of everything. So Tuesday I did that. Cam is currently disassembling an old Mazak Quick Turn 20. We did some work on. The work was unsuccessful. Customer was like, all right, well, we're not going to fucking stick any more money into this goddamn thing. We're just going to buy 2 new Doosan's. Like, okay, great. So they want Cam to fully disassemble the machine, part out the machine, and put the parts on the shelf. So they have, because they have one other Quick Turn 20 identical machine, so they want replacement parts for it because they're old. They're T plus controls. Yeah, I think they're T plus, so they're fucking old, man. They're like 20 years plus, if not older than that. So Cam is currently doing that. Um, Wednesday, I had to go to another local customer, and they have a Femco lathe, old, old fucking lathe, and it's misindexing. And joys for me, it's fucking hydraulic indexing. Fuck, I hate hydraulic indexing. So I went in and just kind of looked at it, seen what was going on. They have weight offset to one side of the turret compared to the other, and that seems where the weight gets offset to one side. That's where the misindexing is happening, and so it's misclamping. So it's I could tear this whole fucking thing apart and be like, yeah, I think it's this, I think it's that, I think it's this, I think it's that. I when it gets into hydraulic indexing and you get slop like this, I start from here and I replace going down. Uh, so in this case, usually with my experience with hydraulic indexing, the motor is always the first one that wears out first. That's usually how it goes. Keyways, gears, they can wear out, but I don't see it happen often. Those honestly seem to hold up. Um, I mean, you can replace 4 hydraulic motors and never have to replace the gearing or the keys. So that's just kind of an example of the wear amount. The gears and keying usually do pretty good, depending on the material. Obviously, if it's bronze or brass, which I don't know why the fuck it would be, uh, it'll wear a lot faster. So I made the decision to start at the hydraulic motor because everything else seems fine. Like the timing of the encoder to the hydraulic signaling indexing seems fine. Um, like I said, the weight gets shifted to one side over the other, so 6 pockets will index and pull into the coupling just fine. But when you shift 6 over and you got the last 6 and all the weight is on one side to the other, that's where you get the misclamping and the misindexing. Um, to me, that's hydraulic motor. Just from my experience of what I've seen in the field, have I been wrong before? Fuck yeah, I have been. Yeah, I've been wrong before. Not often, but I've been wrong before about these diagnoses. But the problem is, unless you tear the whole fucking thing apart and you actually look at wear and you look at backlash and all these things, a lot of machines don't even have adjustment for backlash. So you can't even adjust for backlash if there even is any. So it's hard to just determine right off the bat, like, yeah, it's this or it's that. Get this ordered, get that ordered, and then you replace half the parts and then it doesn't work and it's still doing the same things. Like, well, fuck, I should have just did that. So I always start at 1 and then I move down. If that 1 doesn't fix it, then I start moving down. There's still a potential of saving money in the long run, if I'm right the first time, and then you just go from there. So hydraulic indexing fucking sucks, and that's kind of how you have to run through the troubleshooting of it. It's not the greatest, and the hydraulic indexing motor is like $400. So I mean, it's, let's start with the cheapest thing. If you want to take it like that, just start replacing the cheapest thing and then move down the line. So we'll see what happens. I'm still waiting to hear if they got the hydraulic indexing motor in or not, but we'll see. So the last job of the week was very interesting. New customer hits me up out of nowhere. I didn't think I was going to be able to get to him, but I was. My schedule cleared up towards the end of the week. So I got in there Wednesday. They have a Hitachi Siki. Now, I didn't know Hitachi is out of business. Nobody distributes them. Nobody makes them. So Hitachi finding support is almost none. So I was kind of on my own, didn't know that, but whatever. I wasn't worried about it. It was a Hitachi Siki lathe, and customer hits me up, calls me in. It's like, yeah, our tailstock isn't working correctly. It was working fine before, but it's not working right now. So it's like, okay. So I was looked at the machine. A lot of the shit didn't make sense. Like I cracked open the solenoid valve for the tailstock locking, and this tailstock is it's a little strange. I've never seen this design before. So the tailstock is on a ball screw, a really like broad ball screw. It's not really anything accurate or anything like that. It's just there to drive it back and forth, and it uses just a regular old AC motor to jog it back and forth, and it runs off of proc switches. So when the tailstock comes up to the part, the AC motor brings it up, engages it, and then there's a piston that acts like a clutch on the drive side of the ball screw, and that piston, when it sees pressure up against the part, the piston moves back, and the amount of hydraulic pressure that you have set on the piston determines the amount of thrust that the tailstock is into the part, which is very interesting. It's honestly a pretty cool design. um, so like I said, I didn't really know anything about the design. I've never seen it before. I'm used to servo motors coming up, or just pure hydraulic pressure coming up and setting and just locking, like that. But in this case, it was very strange. So I was like, okay, I traced the ladder, and I I couldn't, like, the proc switches seemed a little odd the way that they were working, and there's three proc switches. One was tailstock back, which is pretty straightforward, home switch, whatever. But the other two working together, there were two other that were reading basically the thrust of the piston, or the position of the piston, the clutch piston, basically. I was like, okay, well, there's no support. There's nothing in the maintenance manual that tells you how to set the switches. There's just limit switch 1 and limit switch 2. That's it in the electrical schematics. I'm like, oh boy. Alright, well, now I gotta try to decipher on how the fuck these things work. So I determined, talking with the operator, like, okay, we think that it's the solenoid valve. It's just the tailstock is coming up. It's the piston isn't moving, and it's not locking into place, and the solenoid's not switching. It's like, okay, so we found a local distributor of Hitachi Siki parts. Strangely enough, I guess this guy bought the rights to Hitachi Siki, and he's in Wisconsin. I didn't know that, but cool dude. He sold me a solenoid valve, replacement valve, and the valve was a little different. Anyways, so I get back to the shop. I open up the solenoid valve, and the wiring is just, it makes no sense. The wiring is not even matched to the electrical schematic of the machine. So right there, I already have a problem. Like, okay, I see how this is gonna go. Ugh. I put the new solenoid in, and I'm like looking at the electrical schematic. I'm like, dude, I have to wire it this way. Like, this isn't right. And I wire it according to the electrical schematic, and it's wrong. So the piston wasn't working the way that it should have been working. Instead of the piston coming back and then setting hydraulic pressure, it just had constant hydraulic pressure. So the solenoid actuation was backwards. So sometimes you run into this, and I don't know why I ran into this, but the electrical schematic did not match what the machine needed to do. So I swapped those leads, and I still couldn't get this motherfucker to work properly. It's like, well, what the fuck, man? So I completely disassembled this entire drive unit, and I checked the piston, checked the clutch actuation. Everything seemed fine. It was great. Customer had another machine upstairs, an older one. but the tailstock worked the same exact way. I was like, dude, I need to go see how this fucking thing works. So we go upstairs, and I'm looking at it, and he, actuates the tailstock, and I'm looking at the proc switches. I was like, okay, now I get how this works. Got it. So go back downstairs. I get the machine to work manually, no problem. You get the light on the forward, actuation comes up, piston, once it sees the part, locks the part, the piston shifts back, and then as soon as the piston shifts back, the solenoid actuation switches, and then that's what holds the hydraulic pressure on the thrust of the tailstock. So what was happening is we had constant pressure on the piston, so when it came up and pressed on the piston would shift back because it had constant hydraulic pressure. Well, the solenoid actuation wouldn't switch unless the piston shifted back, and the proc switch is seen that the piston shifted back to switch the state of the solenoid valve. I was like, okay, now I get it. Hold on, I gotta be Dave. Fuck Dave. Anyways, so once I figured that out, and the customer explained to me, like, hey, like, this is how we do this on the machine, huh? And manually I could get it to work, but in auto mode I couldn't get this fucking thing to work in auto mode. They wrote a program for me, and like, yeah, this usually works. I'm like, dude, this is not working. It would work in manual, but not in auto. I was like, okay, I gotta go. I gotta get back into the ladder, and I need to trace the fucking alarm in the rungs. And I did this. I need to try to find. I wasn't very hopeful. I didn't think I was gonna find what I needed to find to see why it wasn't working, but I did. So I started tracing the ladder rung, and for the alarm that it was throwing, which was just like a kind of like it was like center setting incomplete. So basically something wasn't being met, seeing that, all right, the tailstock finished and is complete. So when I was tracing the ladder, I traced the ladder to another alarm coil, and then the relays in that alarm coil, one of them was, the customer kept turning on program check. I was like, okay, I mean, whatever. I don't know what program check does to the machine. Like, does it cancel out the machine, like the door open? What's it do? So program check already immediately didn't make any sense to me, and what the prime function of it. Obviously it's pretty straightforward. It's so you can check your program, but what does that do in the ladder when you turn that on? So I followed that back and followed it to another tailstock rung, and in that tailstock rung there were 5 relays in that rung to complete the coil. And 2 of the things in that rung were very interesting. I'm gonna just draw something here, which is what basically is, a rung, and this will kind of make sense to you guys. We'll just say 143.0 and then 158.1. All right, and then this, we'll just call it a 26.1. Right. All right. So this is how an alarm rung works. Honestly, this is how the majority of rungs work. All right. So you have your 2 relays. This is your rung. This whole thing is called a rung, right? And in ladder logic, these relays have to become true. That's the lingo. These need to become true or not true, depending on if they're normally open or normally closed. Right now, this is normally open and this is normally closed. When these highlight in the rung to complete the rung, the coil fires, right? And then boom, we go down to the next rung. Sometimes Sometimes it'll shift and go all over the place in the rung or whatever. So, in this ladder logic, basically, what I was seeing was if our address 143.0 was normally open and that's door close, that, well, actually, I got to think about how this was. The normally closed was door open, which was fired. Yeah, okay. And then this R43.0 was program check. So immediately R143.0 is already active because we have program check on. Now, if you come here and the door is open and this is on, this is fired, now the alarm rung is active when you go to cycle start. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, fix yourself. Fuck's sakes. So I was like, I'm looking at the rung, I was like, hold on. No. Really? So I turned program check off, and then I removed the door open switch so the machine thinks that the door is closed. Machine works just fine. Dude, what? What? 2 days I spent on this fucking machine. Sometimes listening to the customer, it causes more problems, and sometimes you have to backtrack and troubleshoot one problem to fix another problem that somebody else created. Not to say there wasn't anything wrong with the machine before. I just didn't have enough experience on this machine specifically to be like, okay, you're doing this wrong anyways. This is how it needs to be done. So there's a certain state of the machine that it needs to be in order for it to run with program check on. And one of the states is the door has to be closed. It can't be open. Otherwise, it completes the rung, and then you get a tailstock alarm. It's like, oh, man. This is fucked up. Oh, the customer told me that they had three other companies, I think. I don't know if companies, but they told me for sure they had 3 other people in on this machine trying to fix this issue, and nobody could figure it out. And when customers tell me that, I get intimidated, man, because it's like, well, what if those guys didn't know that I'm supposedly going to know? Am I that good, or am I just lucky? And I think either or, I don't deserve either. I don't think I'm that good, and I definitely don't have that good of luck. At least I don't think so. To be able to figure this shit out that 3 other service technicians, couldn't figure out. But that's why it's so important to go back to your fucking roots, man, and go back to what you know and how to troubleshoot. Because when you do that, this is what you find out. Man, it was wild. I walked out of there, I was like, my brain was just fucking exploded, man. Like, because nothing was making sense on this machine, man. Nothing was making sense. I was racking my fucking brain. I was like, dude, what? How? I don't understand. And basically, the quick fix to around that, if the customer wanted to do program check, they could either remove the door open actuation, that the key basically that triggers the door open switch. That way you can have the door open but it thinks that it's closed. Don't recommend that. I will never recommend that. Or the part has to be chucked in the chuck and the door needs to be closed, and then you could program check it. It is what it is. The safety guarding is there for a reason, and that's why us service guys don't bypass it. It's there for a reason. When I showed the customer that, he shook his head. He's like, "Oh man." I was like, "Yeah, Gary, it's okay, man. He's like, well, there was definitely something wrong. I was like, hey, I don't doubt that one bit, but I can't really, excuse me, I can't really determine whether or not there really was something wrong. If there was, okay, we figured it out. Whether it was a solenoid valve, whatever, the wiring, who knows. But if you want to continue to do this moving forward, this is how you have to do it. Now, if you want to remove your door key, by all means, go right ahead. But I'm not going to do that for you. He's like, all right, I just want it to work. I was like, it'll work. It's working. We ran your program several times. It's gonna work. So he's like, all right, well, thank you. I was like, yeah, man, that's what you called me in to do. So interesting. I sometimes I don't get problems like that. A lot of times I don't get problems like that. Dude, I literally wake up. I was talking to my buddy Joe in Chicago about this. He owns his own service company. I was like, Joe, I was like, dude, do you realize all we do is wake up every day and fix somebody else's problems? It's literally that's our entire career, is waking up and fixing somebody else's fucking problem, dude. Why did I do this? And it's literally all I know how to do. And I'm surprisingly good at it. Now I'm going to be doing this for the rest of my life, man. Fuck! I love it, though, man. I fucking love it. It's never the same, dude. It's never... I think that's one of the things I love about service, is it's never the same, man. Very rarely is it ever the same thing. It's shit like this, you get into shit like this and you gotta backtrack, start from square one. You gotta kind of just go around the shit that people tell you in order for you to figure out for yourself, okay, this is exactly how it's supposed to work and it's not working. Okay, now I can start from here. Oh man, it's wild, but I love it. I bring my own misery. I create my own misery, man, and I love it somehow. I'm fucked up. I'm fucked up. Fucking Dave. All right, next week I am going to Boston. I'm flying out Sunday to be on site at a customer Monday, for an OEM that I used to work for. They are contracting me to do a level 3 PM on a horizontal machine and then a ball screw replacement on the same machine. So I'll probably be there for 2 weeks, roughly. I think the level 3 usually takes about 4 days, 5 days, depending on how bad the leveling is on the machine. The ball screw would take me, I don't know, depending on what axis it is. I'm assuming it's probably X-axis or Y. Z rarely ever goes out, but I could be wrong. I don't know. I'll find out when I get out there. Either way, it won't take me that long to do anyways. But that'll take me about 2-3 days max, maybe. So I'll be out there for about a week and a half, I would assume. So probably miss podcasting, but whatever. I'm sure I'll have some good stories when I get back. All right. Motivation time. Learning unrelated skills. Now, when I say that, your career, learning skills outside of your career that have no impact on your career. And I think everybody, excuse me. And I think everybody should choose a few skills outside of their career path that are unrelated to it. And I think what this does is it builds resilience and intellect in your brain. And I think it helps you develop learning patterns for your career so you can become better at your career. For an example, I have been trying to teach myself Spanish for about 5 months now. Yeah, 4 months. 4 months. It's going well. Retaining is my biggest enemy right now, but I'm not giving up. I do about a 30-minute to an hour lesson every day. So I'm not hitting it hard, but I'm still consistent on the lesson every day. Now, Spanish isn't learning Spanish isn't really related to my career. Could it be? Yeah. I mean, if I go to Mexico for service, obviously being able to speak Spanish will help me a lot. So, but the odds of that happening, I don't see that happening. I'll be shocked if an opportunity like that ever happens, but you never know. But learning the skill, I think, will transition into me being able to learn in different situations and settings in my own career. Um, Retainment obviously is a big thing when it comes to learning new skills, and learning another language. I think is a really good way of teaching your brain retainment. So don't don't ever get comfortable in your career and think like, man, I can't go anywhere up anymore. I can't learn anymore at all. Well, what if there was a skill out there that you could learn or teach yourself that's not related to your career, but could possibly boost you in other areas of your career later down the road? Why not take that chance? What do you got to lose? Time? Fuck. We barely have any of that as it is. Why not take that time and teach yourself something? I mean, it's the way I see learning Spanish. I have time. I don't like to waste time. I try not to waste time, so I try to find things to fill my time, even when there's nothing that I can do business wise. Obviously, business is number one for me, but like going to the gym, going on walks, I ride my bike a lot, learning Spanish. Like, I find things to fill my day because it keeps me away from social media. It keeps me from just endless scrolling, which is, the hell in this world. Because you learn nothing from doing that. So just think about that. Find something that you think you may want to learn that's unrelated to your career and fucking start learning it, man. Why not? You find out later down the road, like, damn, that skill that I taught myself or I learned, holy fuck, I'm using it. Or it's progressed you in your career unrelated somehow. Why not take the chance? Thank you for tuning in. Holy fuck. Thank you for tuning in, guys. My name's Taylor Goodyear, and I own TG CNC Service out of Wisconsin. Boston for 2 weeks. I won't see you guys for a couple of weeks. Whoever's tuning in, if you are, I appreciate you. Thank you. And then hopefully I got some good stories when I come back. We'll see you guys.